Well, today is the day where we start tearing into this War Gods cabinet where we're going to convert this to Wrestlemania. Now, I don't know why I thought this was NFL Blitz. I mentioned in the build of the control panel that I thought this was NFL Blitz, but clearly this is War Gods. I mean, I must have not been looking at it just right. Light never stuck it, perfectly, but that's War Gods. So this is a War Gods cabinet. And I think this is MK4, because if we look on the side here, we got red back here. This is not, see all this here? This looks very much like MK4. So I think this is MK4 box with the MK1 panel that was on it with a War Gods cabinet. So overall, it's not too bad. There is a giant chunk missing out of it right there. There is a chunk missing off the bottom of the box right here. We can fill that in. There's a bunch of flakiness. There was some water damage along the bottom, which caused this chipping. We'll have to tear all that off and then fill all that in. There's a chunk missing off of here. The laminate part of the wood is gone. So, I mean, it's really not too bad overall. The main cabinet itself, there's of course the regular chunks and stuff missing off the edges, but that's normal. We can fill all that in. That's not a big deal. But the cabinet itself is, why did we lose focus? Come on. There we go. The cabinet itself is, I need to clean the lens. Okay. Like there's a dot right there, and I need to clean the lens, but Lowe's truck, thank you very much. So the cabinet itself is fairly solid. I mean, well, it's not liquid or gas, it's solid, but it's not too bad. I need to fill things like this in. That's not a problem. So the cabinet itself is okay. What we need to worry about is really just this part right here, this part right there, and along the bottom. Well, and over there. Otherwise, it's not too bad. So what we're going to do is just start tearing this down and see if there's anything else we find or anything else that we notice that might be an issue. Then, of course, we'll have to go through the entire inside. It's pretty bad. Now, there's a fan in there, and it's screwed down to the bottom of the cabinet. Now, what this fan was doing in here, I couldn't tell you, not the slightest. Yeah, and there's a bunch of leaves and all kinds of other junk in here, and some type of dangerous splitter, where if the water got in there, you wouldn't want that. Yeah, and then of course the guns are all really unusable. This one actually probably isn't too bad, but this one is broken in half almost. So those are going to go in the garbage. The front has we got missing coin door parts. We got to take that tokens only thing off of there. There's a missing insert here, and I don't know if this got burned or, I mean, I've never ever seen something with so much wear that it damaged the plastic. I think that actually got hit with something. But I actually have a spare coin door over here. I got a spare coin door that we can rob parts from right there, so that won't be a problem. I've also got this pole position cabinet we can steal parts from. This is an empty cabinet with nothing in it. No transformer. I mean, the wiring, the inside of this cabinet is 100% empty. And I've just got it sitting here as kind of a spare parts machine for my actual pole position at the arcade. So we can steal parts from it. That's not going to be a problem. Okay, so yeah, we need to start tearing this down. I'm not sure if I want to just kind of focus on the control panel box first. I need to get the Bondo out and just start bondoing up all of the problem areas. That way, while that's drying on the main cabinet, I can work on the control panel. But I do want to say that normally what you would do is you would tear all this artwork off. This being painted already kind of helps us, because my game plan here is normally you would just tear all the artwork off down to the wood, fill the wood, sand it, prime it, do what you have to do, and then apply the art over the bare wood like I did with the Tattoo Assassins. Well, on this project, this black paint on here kind of already helps us because it acts as a primer already. So this is pretty much already primered by this paint being on here. So my plan for this is to fill the holes, do the Bondo work, and then sand this down really well and just use this basically as a primer. And then what we're going to do is after it's sanded down and it's perfect, we may actually throw another coat of primer on here. After we sand this down, we might throw another coat of primer on it just to make sure everything is flat and good and solid, then sand that primer down. Then we're going to apply the art just directly on here without tearing the original art off. So I think that'll work out just fine. All right, but anyway, so yeah, I need to just start tearing this down and we'll dig into it and see how it goes. Okay, just cutting in here real quick. I want to talk about the reason why I thought this was War Gods. So, if we look at the side here, I took the control panel off, and you see all this blue right here? I just took a quick look at this and thought that this was NFL Blitz based off of this. So, you can understand why I had that confused there. For some reason, you can clearly see that this is War Gods. There's no doubt about it. You can make out the guy right here, the final boss, if you will. He's got his hand like this. So there's no doubt it's War Gods. I'm not sure why I didn't even notice that, but what originally made me think it was NFL Blitz was because of this. So anyway, just wanted to kind of explain myself why I was thinking it was Blitz. Anyway, so there we go. I'm going to get the camera set up and we'll get all this crap cleaned out of here and see how well we can make this look. All right, gang, well, I goofed a bit. I was outside while waiting for all this Bondo to dry. I took the control panel out here to sand it down, get it all prepped and everything, and out in the sun, I thought I had hit the record button, but I didn't. Well, I hit the record button, but I don't think it actually began recording, because when I went back and looked, I had failed to record the footage of this. So I gypped you out of content. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. The sun, I couldn't see the viewfinder. I thought it was recording, it wasn't, but I don't have that footage. So sorry about that. But the control panel, it turns out that this actually is a War Gods panel. The only War Gods I've ever seen in person when I got my War Gods years ago, the sides, it was a very early version, and the sides were just painted black. There was no art on the side. So I had to make my own art with the midway from MK3, but I made it green. I'll see if I can insert a picture here. So on this one, I was unaware that the sides were actually the same as the sides of the cabinet, where they were all blue. So it turns out that this actually was a War Gods panel. So it was a War Gods main cab, a War Gods control panel. The only thing that wasn't War Gods was for sure the actual panel itself was MK1. But okay, so I took the sides down to the bare wood, and I bondoed the corner here. The front was in good shape. Now this side, I also bondoed this corner and took everything down to the bare wood. So I'm gonna go shoot this with some paint. I'm not gonna actually paint the entire thing. I'm just gonna paint the edges, the perimeter of the front and the sides, because the artwork has to go right up against the edge. And if for some reason it's not flush, I don't want the color of the wood here showing. So I'm just gonna paint black around the perimeter. And then I'm gonna paint black around the perimeter of the front and the other side here. So I'm gonna go get that done, come back, I'm gonna paint actually all this in here as well. I'm gonna paint this, and then this will be ready for artwork. I'm not gonna prime it because I used, let's see, 160 grit to sand it down to the bare wood. Fixed all the Bondo here in the corner and sanded it down. There's a little bit of a gap right there, but not gonna be a big deal. I used 160 grit for the entire panel, and then I used 320 grit to fine sand it, so it's nice and flat, and it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to just paint the perimeters and paint the inside, come back, and this will be ready for artwork, so we'll set it aside. Then we're going to try and tackle sanding all of this, so that'll be fun in and of itself. Well, and just like that, it's done. So I lied again. I mentioned I was just going to do the perimeter, but I figured for the ease of artwork application to make it nice and I don't know, fluid, so there wasn't like a buildup around. So, you know, I didn't want to paint around the outside and have it, you know, slightly micrometer thicker, and you'd be able to see it under the art. So I just went ahead and painted the whole darn thing. This side, the front, and this side. Still a little bit wet right there. So the whole box is painted, bottom, insides, front, out main sides. I mean, even back behind here is all painted. So the control box is now 100% done and ready for artwork application. The corner that was busted off is repaired, and any other place that need a little bit of quick shot of Bondo, I think there was, put a little some right there. Yeah, not too bad overall. And then I used the heat gun to peel off the original artwork as much as I could, and then sand it through what was left. So the control box is now done. So I will set this aside here somewhere. Let's put it here in the sun. Best place for it. Okay, so box is done. Fantastic. So worst case scenario, if I don't get much done with this today, we'll put the artwork on that, get the control panel completely finished, and then at least that'll be done. All right, man. I forgot to mention I had to cut the T-molding slot for when I repaired this corner here. I had to fix the T-molding slot. I can't even tell if what we're looking at here. The sun's in my way. Yeah, I had to recut the T-molding slot. So I got out the router and did that. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing here. Once I get this all sanded down, which that might be man, it's gonna be tough to get this done. I'll have to recut that slot so I have something at the ready for that. All right, so yeah, now we have to stand this up and do some sanding and get this one done. Okay, and with that, the cabinet is done. You can, just in the right light, you can see where, I got the sun blinding me. There you can barely see where the holes used to be for the guns. But, you know, I put a wooden block in there, or kind of cut it somewhat circular, stuffed it in there, and then bonded it around that, so that worked out just fine. But the only way I can really fix that, I mean, I probably could have done a better job sanding it down, but I mean, first glance, it's not so bad. Yeah, primered the areas that were sanded down to the bare wood, painted it, everything turned out fantastic. Same thing for each side. There is, down here where the bottom was flaking off, got that fixed up. This side as well. Sorry, you can't see too well, but you'll see when this is all done. The sides, I made the executive decision to not put more primer on because this is smooth as a baby's bottom right now. Yeah, I wish you could feel it. It's amazing. This paint acted as a primer unto itself, which I mentioned before. So I was going to put another coat of primer on, but I think this will work out just fine. Again, the control panel box is done. The other side here turned out just as nice. Now there is a little bit of water damage and swelling on the bottom, but not enough to really warrant gutting it and redoing it from scratch. Plus I have no technical ability to be able to do that, but it's not bad enough to where that needs to be done. So yeah, I think this will work out just fine. This turned out well beyond my expectations. For all intents and purposes, it was never damaged. You can see there I put the T-molding groove back in it, and you really can't even tell that it was ever damaged or broken. So, well, in my opinion anyway. Obviously there's been some repair work because it doesn't have the texture of the wood, but yeah, I mean, I could not have asked for a better turnout on this busted piece. So let's get this thing laid down, wiped down, cleaned, and let's get some artwork on it. Okay, that's about all I can get done for today. I still got to do the coin doors, get them all fixed up, and then do all the internals. But as far as the outside, except for the coin doors, the outside is completely done. I need to sand and paint the monitor bracket and the retainer, glass retainer and everything. But so we're about 96.875%, not including the coin doors and those two brackets up there. But otherwise, we are done. So it's been a long day. You saw the effort it took to get to this point, but everything just turned out flawlessly. So yeah, one of the better turnouts in a while, just as good as the Tattoo Assassins. So, not much else to say. I'm going to the championship game tomorrow, Chiefs versus Bengals. So I won't be able to get this done tomorrow, so it'll have to wait until next weekend. But I think you can wait. So should be worth the wait. Get rid of the glare there. There you go. So there you have it. Stay tuned for the last part when we get the monitor in and all adjusted and all the wiring done and everything on the internals, and we'll call it good. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned till then. And I hope the Chiefs win tomorrow.